In the world of heavy metal, few stories are as dramatic and long-lasting as the rivalry between Metallica and Megadeth. These two bands are not just known for their loud guitars and intense music, they're also known for the personal history between two of their key members, James Hetfield, the frontman of Metallica, and Dave Mustaine, the founder of Megadeth. This story begins all the way back in 1983, when Dave Mustaine was fired from Metallica. It wasn't just a normal band change, it was a move that would change the future of heavy metal forever. Mustaine, angry and hurt by the decision, didn't just walk away. He created a brand new band, Megadeth, to show the world what he could do. What followed was decades of rivalry, headlines, emotional interviews, and some of the most powerful music ever made. Let's go back to the beginning and find out how this rivalry started, why it lasted so long, and what both Hetfield and Mustaine have said about it after all these years. The birth of Metallica and the arrival of Mustaine. In the early 1980s, heavy metal music was changing. A new, faster, and louder style was emerging. This would become known as thrash metal. One of the first bands to lead this new sound was Metallica, which was formed by two young musicians, Lars Ulrich, a drummer from Denmark, and James Hetfield, a singer and guitarist from California. But something was missing in the early days of Metallica. They needed a lead guitarist with fire and energy. That's when they found Dave Mustaine. His style was aggressive, fast, and full of attitude. He didn't just play the guitar, he attacked it. His powerful playing helped define Metallica's early sound. Songs like The Four Horsemen and Jump in the Fire came to life with Mustaine's touch. But while Mustaine was talented, he was also hard to work with. According to Hetfield, Mustaine often got into fights with other band members. He drank too much, argued constantly, and could be unpredictable. "We were all young and reckless," Hetfield later said, but Dave took it to a different level. Eventually, things got so bad that Metallica made a hard choice. Just before recording their first album, Kill 'Em All, in 1983, they fired Mustaine and replaced him with a new guitarist named Kirk Hammett. This decision would change everything. Mustaine's reaction, the birth of Megadeth. For Dave Mustaine, getting kicked out of Metallica was like a punch to the heart. He later said it felt like a betrayal. He wasn't just hurt, he was determined to prove that he was just as good, if not better, than the band that had fired him. So, not long after leaving Metallica, Mustaine started his own band, Megadeth. His goal wasn't just to make great music, it was to beat Metallica. In interview after interview, Mustaine admitted that everything he wrote for Megadeth in the early years was to show Metallica what they lost. The rivalry was personal and it was intense. On one side, Metallica was rising fast with their new guitarist Hammett and their debut album Kill 'Em All. On the other side, Mustaine and Megadeth were releasing fast, furious songs that many people thought were aimed directly at Metallica. The music war begins. In 1985, Megadeth released their first album, Killing Is My Business, and Business Is Good. It was filled with fast, aggressive songs. One track called Mechanics sounded very similar to Metallica's The Four Horsemen. That wasn't a coincidence. Both songs were based on early versions written when Mustaine was still in Metallica. But Mustaine played Mechanics even faster and louder, as if to say, this is how it should be done. At the same time, Metallica was reaching new heights. Their albums Ride the Lightning, 1984, and Master of Puppets, 1986, made them one of the biggest bands in the world. While Megadeth was gaining fans, Metallica was becoming a household name. Even as Metallica moved forward, the rivalry with Mustaine didn't go away. In public, Mustaine often criticized Metallica, saying they had sold out by trying to appeal to more mainstream audiences. When Metallica released the Black Album in 1991, which had a slower, more radio-friendly sound, Mustaine wasn't impressed. Many fans took sides. Some stayed loyal to Metallica's evolving sound, while others admired Megadeth's refusal to change for fame. Hetfield, however, rarely responded to the attacks. He stayed focused on his music, but in one interview he admitted, "The bitterness drove a lot of great music, but it also made things impossible between us. The emotional reunion. Even though years passed and both bands became legends, the tension between Hetfield and Mustaine never fully disappeared. That changed in 2004, when Metallica was filming a documentary called Some Kind of Monster. In a powerful scene, Mustaine and Hetfield sat down for a rare face-to-face conversation. During the meeting, Mustaine opened up about the pain he had carried for over 20 years. "You never even said thank you," he told Hetfield. "It's like you just threw me away." Hetfield admitted that firing Mustaine had been necessary for the band's survival, but he also said he didn't realize just how deeply it had hurt him. Looking back later, Hetfield said, "It hit me how much hurt there still was. At the time, we were just trying to survive, but I didn't see how personal it was for him." That meeting didn't solve everything, but it was a big step. It showed that both men were starting to understand the past and what it meant. A new level of respect. Over the years, Hetfield has started to speak more openly about Mustaine's role in Metallica's early days. In interviews, he has said things like, "Dave was a huge part of our beginnings. His energy and aggression helped shape who we were." That's a big change from the old days when neither side wanted to give credit to the other. Now Hetfield was showing more maturity and respect. Still, he didn't pretend it had all been easy. He talked about how chaotic things were in the early days, how the mix of young egos, partying, and ambition made things explode. "We were all out of control," he said, "and when you put that much fire in one room, something's going to blow." Even as the rivalry cooled, Mustaine continued to express interest in working with Hetfield again. In a 2023 interview, Hetfield was asked if he would ever collaborate with Mustaine. His answer was short but respectful. "I respect him and what he's done. That's where we are right now." How the rivalry shaped both bands. The competition between Metallica and Megadeth wasn't just about music, it was about identity. For Metallica, the rivalry became a driving force behind their rise to the top. Albums like Master of Puppets and the Black Album helped them reach millions of fans around the world. They polished their sound, played sold-out stadiums, and became one of the most famous rock bands ever. In a 2018 interview, Hetfield said, "Knowing Dave was out there trying to one-up us kept the fire alive." For Megadeth, the rivalry was just as important. It gave Mustaine a purpose. Albums like Peace Sells But Who's Buying and Rust in Peace showed off Megadeth's more technical, complex side. While they never sold as many records as Metallica, they earned the respect of critics and hardcore fans. Mustaine himself has said, "Every Megadeth song in the early years had something to prove to Metallica. Fans, media, and the legacy." Throughout the 1980s and 1990s, fans often picked sides. Some loved Metallica for their powerful anthems and wide appeal. Others preferred Megadeth's complex guitar work and underground spirit. At concerts and in magazines, the debate raged on who was better. But over time, that rivalry became more of a shared history than a battle. Today, many fans admire both bands for what they brought to heavy metal. Rather than picking sides, people now celebrate both. Even Hetfield and Mustaine have talked about how the media made the feud bigger than it needed to be. In the end, it's about the music, not the argument, Hetfield said on a podcast. "What we created, both bands. It's something bigger than any fight we ever had. A legacy bigger than a feud." There's no question that the rivalry between Metallica and Megadeth helped shape the history of heavy metal. It brought out the best in both bands. It pushed them to be better, faster, louder. It inspired generations of musicians. Even though Hetfield and Mustaine never became close friends again, they learned to respect each other. With time, they realized that their shared past wasn't just filled with pain, it was also filled with greatness. In one interview, Hetfield reflected on how things change with time. "The creative fire that came from our rivalry, it burned bright, but as we get older, we start to see things more clearly." Today, both Metallica and Megadeth are recognized as legends. They may have started on the same road and taken different paths, but together, they changed music forever. Their story is a reminder that even the hardest rivalries can lead to amazing things. Sometimes, out of conflict comes creativity. And sometimes, two bands that were once at war can leave behind a legacy that brings people together.